Thank you. Right there?
Ah, wrong tooth.
There?
Wrong tooth. Other way. What? I was just doing it, yeah.
Guys, it's Watch Me Eat, last of 2018, and look who I'm joined by, James Aspey and Carly Taylor.
What's up?
All the way from Australia, but they're visiting in Toronto right now.
Yes,
So
we've come to
excited.
the right place, clearly.
You have, and if you want to see what we are eating, well, we're eating homemade seitan sausages from my cookbook. James helped make them with me on Hot for Foods channel, and we talk all about his activism and his career and stuff like that over there. So go watch that. But right now, this is Watch Me Eat, where we kind of don't really need to, there's no agenda. There's nothing, we don't know what we're going to talk about. We're just going to eat and talk. You know, because mukbangs are really popular on YouTube, so this is sort of, people always liked watching me eat my food, but I didn't want to keep doing it on the other channel, so I just decided to do it here and bring on guests. And
Why do they like that, do you reckon?
well, why
It's enjoyable to
why
watch
do
people
you
enjoying food, you know?
I guess so. Yeah, I don't know. I guess...
James isn't into the YouTube scene, so he
Nah.
does it like for his cause, but like he's not someone who likes to watch YouTube videos, so I feel like he doesn't get why people like to watch YouTube videos, you
I
know?
think that's true.
I'm on the same page as you, and I am a YouTube creator. And I say this all the time, and people get mad when I say it because they think I'm a snob or something, but I don't watch the content, and I don't consume it, and I'm not avid about it, but I like making the content, and I like the reach that you get from it.
Totally.
Obviously for the cause.
What do you think?
This is phenomenal.
Isn't
I
it
can't
so
believe,
good?
because I actually wasn't here for most of the making of it, because there was like chili powder in the air, and I kept sneezing.
She was dying.
But this is phenomenal. I can't believe you guys made this from scratch. You
We're
know?
too blessed
It's
with all the
valid.
vegan restaurants around.
Yeah.
I mean, where's been the hardest place that you've traveled to find restaurants or good food?
The only place, we don't really struggle anywhere, do we? There's always something good to eat.
Especially with the Happy Cow app, or just
But-
Googling like best restaurants in that place.
Even like, you know, when you're just somewhere where there's no vegan or vegetarian restaurant, even if you just go to a local Thai place or a Mexican or whatever, you can always get a delicious vegan option there.
Right.
So the only place that sometimes it's hard is at airports, random airports that don't have good options, and then you just kind of have to go hungry or
Yeah, the
or
area-
eat a lot of junk food.
Yeah, eat junk or just like eat fruit or something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
or
it's still
chips.
good.
Chips are always the go-to
Yeah.
at the airport.
But James is super like simple with food. Like he could have a can of beans and baked potato and be happy. So
But I also love something like this too. This is so delicious.
If I had a baked potato and a can of beans, I can tell you I wouldn't be happy.
Yeah,
I'd be
no,
pretty
that
upset
I'm
about
good with that. I'm so good with that, eh? I love cans of beans.
Now I didn't say, so you have your YouTube channel now is James and Carly, the two of you. And
Big
you-
Yes.
step.
Yes, it was.
When did that happen?
That was like earlier this year.
Yeah, that was almost a year
So-
ago.
And when
Yeah.
did you guys meet?
A year ago.
Last July.
Oh, actually, yeah.
Or like a year and a half ago now.
Tell me about the two of you and how this was a thing, and then how you decided to even like kind of, you know, you have to decide to go public and like make it a social media thing.
Yeah, okay, so
It's quite the story.
it is quite a story. When we met,
I actually waited in line to get a photo with him the first time we met. It was at a vegan festival.
That's
Groupie.
amazing!
I was a fangirl. He was like my number one crush.
it's
If
actually
any-
cool.
Yeah.
It's actually cool because we got a photo of the first time we ever spoke.
Yeah,
so
my
that's
friend
pretty
took a photo of
special.
us like speaking for the first time.
Yeah.
So that was back in July at the UK Vegan Campout.
Then we saw each other again. I did a speech in New York and she was there. She brought a friend, and then the next day there was another speech somewhere, and Carly was...
Well, I was volunteering at Farm
Volunteering,
Sanctuary
yeah.
for their hoedown last
Cool,
summer.
I love, yeah.
Yeah, so-
it was
and
just
then-
a perfect
yeah, we-
opportunity for us
totally.
to spend time together.
Exactly, we caught up a lot, like we got to know each other there. There was actually such a cool night that we first really hung out because there was a media shower going on. So we're like in the middle of the farm sanctuary,
Cow
just chilling
pasture.
all night, like checking out this amazing star show.
Wow.
It was totally crazy.
Phenomenal.
Yeah, it was
That's
epic.
magical.
It was totally magical.
Universe
and
was
then,
celebrating.
yeah, for sure.
Okay, but wait, I want to understand. So you showed up because you were like a fan, or like, I mean, fan's a
No, no,
weird
no, no.
word.
Well, I was at the
It
festival.
was a festival. So
and,
like,
and I had
yeah,
seen
a
the
vegan
speeches
festival
before.
in the UK. I was
But
there
so you
speaking.
knew he was James Aspey. You saw
Yeah,
his
and then I was
speech.
like, oh, I definitely want to go introduce myself and like thank him for his speech, and because it's influenced like so many of my friends and family, so I just waited in line to get a photo
Yeah.
with him, and because you had quite the following at the camp out, so there was quite a few people there.
There was like a long
knew
line,
you.
yeah.
And obviously lots of women there to meet you.
A lot of ladies.
Obviously.
Well, the vegan
So
community
how
is
does
a lot of women in
Carly
it.
break through the...
I didn't yet.
Well-
I don't think I did yet.
No, not at that time, but because we didn't have much time to get to know each other. But when we spent some time chilling, getting to know each other, yeah, we just had a really special, like we've spent every day together for a year now, all day, every day.
You're getting ahead of yourself.
I'm getting ahead of myself.
It's
But
okay.
what I was going to say
Yeah.
is like, just on that point is we speak constantly all day, every day. And I don't know, I think
It's
just
a bit intense.
early on we realized that, we have some sort of special connection here where, we can go really deep with each other. And have a lot of respect for each other, and we respect each other's thoughts and opinions, and we share everything, and it's very honest. And
a lot of growth.
we didn't know it was going to be like that straight away, but there was some sort of feeling that, oh, this is something special. And so a few months later, I did a tour in Toronto that Carly pretty much organized.
Well, Toronto Pig Save was having him come to speak at an all-day vigil and a bunch of like other activism events, and I was basically helping to book the lecture halls at all the universities.
Yeah.
So we ended up spending like 2 weeks straight together because there was events every day that I was driving them to, essentially.
We spent 2 weeks together, and then 2 days before I was leaving, I know it had been my birthday, and we had this like epic. She'd taken me all these places.
I like nailed it with his birthday plan. So he had 1 day off while he was here, and it was on his birthday.
Were you like saying you were dating, or at this point?
Nah, we were just chilling.
We were just friends with benefits.
Okay,
pretty much.
My next question.
But we just really liked each other, and we were becoming like kind of close friends. But
all
at that
the same
time,
passions.
I was still planning on going to Australia for dental school. So this is before I even met him. Like I finished my undergrad in Toronto, and I was going to do dental school in Australia. So in my head, I'm like, I'm doing a fresh start in Australia, and he's traveling all the time, and we're not going to date. Like we're just. Like, it's a really cool person. I'm so glad that we've connected, but it wasn't in either of our minds like this is going to be a relationship.
No, and then too, because I travel constantly, and Carly had this dentist thing happening. What happened was I realized that I didn't actually want to just spend this 2 weeks with this person and leave, and that was it. So, one night we were just chilling, and I realized, whoa, in 2 days I'm going to be saying goodbye. That doesn't seem right.
Be sad.
That is not actually how I want this to go down.
Right.
So I just...
He surprised me with it, and he was like, surprised me with the sentiment, and he was like, I'd be honored if you were my person. That's how he asked me.
Honestly, if you'd be my person.
And he's a romantic. He's definitely.
And were you like, come travel the world with me now?
Well,
like,
not yet, because she was still going to be a dentist. But I didn't really understand that, because I'd asked a few questions. I'm like, so why do you want to be a dentist? And I didn't get like...
And it's funny, I didn't get this good answer. Because when someone's asking you something that you have secretly been questioning, and then you kind of like act, so you'd be like...
You just project back what...
Totally,
so he was like, so why do you want to be a dentist? It seems like a really like hard route. And I'm like, well, what? You just don't get it. Like I was really defensive about it.
And I'm just like, well, do you love like using your hands? Do you love, like what's going on in your mouth?
It was really just like a path to, I was so passionate about veganism and environmentalism, and I've been vegan for about 3.5 years now, and just like the more I learned and the more active I got in the community, I was like, whoa, like this is something that I've never felt passion like this for anything else. So I kind of had this plan that I was going to do dentistry because it had always been the plan, and then I was going to be able to like buy myself the freedom to do whatever I wanted like as a hobby later, and have leaflets in the waiting room and show cowspiracy to my patients and stuff like that. That was the plan. And
then she realized she was going to have to get a massive loan to
go
and do this. I mean, she knew, but it just all got a bit real.
Like I was like, okay, in 2 weeks I'm going to have to get like a $500,000 loan to pay for tuition in Australia. And I was like,
that's a lot of money.
Do I really want to do this? And I started just kind of questioning that.
And I knew how passionate she was about veganism and animal rights and activism. I'm like, what? I've got this year planned where I'm traveling around for a year.
Well, that was after I decided I definitely didn't want to be a dentist.
Sure, yeah, exactly.
But it was all just falling into
crazy synchronicities.
And it just sort of was like, oh, well, okay, you don't want to be a dentist. You don't know exactly what you do want to do, but I've got a pretty cool year planned. Maybe we could just do that together. Let's get to know each other for a year. Let's spend a year dedicated to each other so that we can just...
No one does that, That's a very rare thing.
It's so weird because actually, I read somewhere, I heard something that a really good thing to do would be on the first year after you've got married, that you dedicate that year to each other. Yeah. And we
joked about that early, like...
We were like, we should do that. Married. We're not married. Okay. But we feel very strongly bonded.
For sure.
Yeah, like we've had some really special experiences together that have made us feel like we're very much...
soulmates.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Have you ever had soulmates before, you think? Have you ever had relationships like this before, or is it different?
It's definitely different. It's definitely different.
Well, we literally, it's not... Like, we tell people this and people think we're exaggerating. We literally spend from the morning to the night, like, we work together, we travel together, we live together, like, we are together constantly. Like, it's rare if we have a couple hours apart, which is actually a bit much. Like, it'd be nice to have more. Much. And maybe, like, when we settle down in a spot, we can have more of our own hobbies and do our own thing a little bit more. But while we're traveling, we essentially spend all day, every day
So it's like someone sees every side of you, and you hear every one of their thoughts, and you just really... you know each other as best you can possibly know someone, within a year. So But in that time, like we've been through a lot of really good things and some pretty hard times for sure.
Well, definitely like seeing all of the hard parts in each other, you know?
It's hard. Relationships aren't easy.
Totally.
I'm super into talking about the dynamic of relationship and stuff, and I do think it's interesting that you two are here and you're saying, you know, I spend every day all day with each other. It's like that codependence. Do you feel like you're codependent?
In a lot of ways, we've definitely just gotten into the habit and the routine of doing everything together. So it's like when we're working, we'll like be sitting at the same desk with our computers out, like working.
We're trying to like just grow and become better people and help each other do that as well, because, you know, spending so much time with each other, you learn the things that you aren't very good at. Yeah. Like I need to be better at cleaning, and Carly is like quite quick to anger at me. So and like
that's the one thing you chose out of
well,
your
that was like
okay. Well,
actually, I got plenty. It was just the first thing that came to mind.
Are you talking about this?
Yeah, no, it's because we just got into like a discussion, I'll say, about that.
Yeah, that was this morning. That's why I brought it up. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm quick to anger.
Yeah.
I've talked about this on my channel, so people kind of know. So this quick to anger thing, and the thing is, when you're with someone all the time, you just get on each other's nerves, and like I know exactly what that's 100%. Like. I used to work with my ex-partner on this on my channel, and we definitely couldn't do like all day every day the way you are doing. And you either can or you can't, or you can and you can work through it. But anyway, we couldn't work through it. But what I was gonna say is this quick to anger thing. Yeah. How quickly did that show up?
I mean, I think right from the get-go, like he's a very patient person. And I'd love to talk more about the silent meditation retreat thing, but James has done 8 of those. Yeah. And he just is someone who, that is his strong suit. He's very patient. He's very in control of his reactions to things. And I think I'm really good at forgiving and coming back. But I definitely if I feel a negative emotion, I struggle with not reacting to that right away. Although I do catch myself and I have that awareness to be like, oh wait, I shouldn't have done that, I'm sorry, like right away. And
that's the thing that we're helping each other with, like, you know, if Carly's starting to just feel the weight of the world kind of thing, I can try to just bring it back down and calm it back down.
Because you don't get very reactive. So.
Yeah, exactly. But then you know, I have had times where Carly's really quick to say sorry, and if I need to be sorry, I'm more likely to just stay in my own little shell and not really want to be open or anything like that.
Until you're ready or until some time passes.
And that's something that you've actually grown so much with this year, like in terms of like opening up and not being like distant when you're thinking about something, because I've been like, everything's on the table, we're going to communicate about everything, because if we sweep something under the rug, we're going to trip over it later.
And you want to know what's going on in his head. I mean, I think that's a female thing.
Definitely.
And a male thing is, I don't want to tell you what's in my head, because it might sound weak or it might sound...
Make me vulnerable.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's, it's something I've learned that, you know, through time with Carly, are you sure it's okay if I say this? I feel like it's going to be a negative thing that I share this. And it's been really positive to just be like, nah, we can just be open about anything. And, you know, we'll learn from it and we'll just get better, so...
I mean, for you, talking about that, that's you having to break down those, like when we talk about being vegan or not being vegan and being programmed, it's like men are programmed in a way that's like, oh, I can't expose those things, right? Like you create that shell or that boundary. So how have you tried to reprogram that?
Well, I think just consistently remembering what the path out of, you know, like when you have a fight or whatever, and then let's say there's some residual negative feelings. Like most of our fights are based on misunderstandings. Totally. Oh, I thought you said this, or I thought you meant that. I meant that. But by that time that we realize, oh, that's a misunderstanding, we might be 10 minutes into being mad at each other.
I can't remember what you're
saying. Hurtful things.
Yeah, not hurtful, but just like, you know, getting kind of like at each other.
And, pushing buttons.
Totally. I'm like, I know your buttons. I'm like... Yeah, so I think that, and then when you realize, oh, I had no reason to be mad at you, you meant this, or I shouldn't have got mad anyway, I could have just been more chill about that, you know, like we're just having a crack at doing our best. Yeah. But then sometimes there's still residual negative feelings. And so what I'm starting to learn now is that, okay, there's this negative thing, and you're probably, Carly learned this as well, you're probably going to feel better if you just be like, hey, I'm still holding on to this, you know, instead of just in your head being like, oh, this person, they did this or they did that, and then you just...
It's just going to come up later.
Yeah,
like I said, like, you're kind of sweeping something under the rug, and it's, like, there, and you just need to, like, get everything out there and dealt with.
Because generally,
in a different way,
it will.
And then you wouldn't even know why you're mad, but you're mad about something 10 months ago.
And it's probably nothing...
And that's so difficult.
It's probably, what I've learned, and this has been cool, is that as soon as I just say, hey, when you did this, it hurt me, for example, or either way, like, it goes both ways, it gives the other person an opportunity to say, sorry, I didn't mean to hurt you, that was bad of me, or actually, no, I meant this. So, you know, now that you know that, there should be no reason for you to feel hurt. And it just, because sometimes I feel like we're talking different languages.
Yeah.
You know? Sometimes I'm like, what? How are you not getting me? Or it's really frustrating, and it takes time to like decipher your feelings that you've tried to put into words.
So much effort, like
Totally.
to build a good relationship. I mean, I guess we don't have all the answers, but
No
what
way.
we found is that it just is so much effort. Like when we put effort into really getting things on the table and communicating about it and putting in the time and the frustration to talk about it, things are better that
Totally.
day, and things feel more clean and more like less bogged down by all that stuff that we didn't talk about. But it does take effort. It takes the time to sit down and talk about something that's not very comfortable to talk about, and apologize when you're not ready necessarily.
And you're not perfect, and don't expect someone else to be perfect.
yeah.
You know, like we all got our stuff.
So let's talk about this because we did it a little bit off camera. I mentioned to you guys that I'm going to Vipassana in January, which is the silent retreat or silent
10-day
meditation.
meditation course. How did you hear about that?
I've been hearing about it for a while. I've been meditating since 2013, and
Cool.
it's always come up in conversation, and I know people who have done it, and it's always been a thing like, would you ever do the silent? And I'd always be like, I don't know, maybe, I don't know, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But it came up in the fall, and my friend and I, we were just like, let's sign up. The time to sign up was the next day when we were talking about it, so we felt like that was a sign. And I had to kind of go through a screening over the phone with them because when you fill out the application, they ask what other things you do or practice.
Yeah.
And so I did mention everything because I thought I'd just be honest. But they get a bit weird about like, well, they're like, well, why have you done Reiki? And what is this? What's this energy healer you're talking about?
Yeah.
And so I kind of had to explain myself, but they don't really have an understanding for anything else other than Vipassana. So I said, I understand I have to stop those things and they aren't going to interfere. And I said, I just want to do this to see sort of like where I can take my meditation practice.
Totally.
And maybe this is the thing I might want to like master and continue doing, or it might not be. I don't know.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So you've
You
gone
might
8
know.
times.
I've done eight 10-day courses.
Have you gone to India and done it?
No, I've just done them in Australia.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's such a great course because you learn such a valuable technique. And the technique that you learn, you can use every day after, which I use it all throughout my day, every single day. And basically the technique that you're taught is how to be less reactive. So when sensations come over your body that usually you'd react and feel sad, or you'd go straight to anger, which is very fast, or anything really, it gives you this space between the sensation and your reaction to choose how do I feel like responding, rather than just being kind of a slave to your reactions.
That's a great summary.
Yeah, and it's really hard. It's 10 days. You don't speak to anybody.
You can't write.
No, you can't read. While you're there, you don't take books. You meditate for 10 hours a day, and they teach you this technique that you get further and further into. But it's everybody at the end. When you start talking again, everyone has had this amazing experience. Where you have just sat by yourself with nothing else and just gone inside and seen what you're all about and what makes you tick. And it's really therapeutic, and a lot of stuff comes up that you can actually start letting go of.
Yeah.
That comes up, and usually it comes up, you react, and you get further in this habit pattern of reacting. And while you're there and you're learning this technique, it comes up and you get in this habit pattern of releasing. And then you just, throughout every day after that, you have less anxiety and less stress and less depression, and you're more steady, and you can kind of just roll with life a bit more in an accepting way, rather than be craving things or be resisting the moment. You're just more like, okay, more content.
And does this happen in the 10-day one course, or do you think you need to do more?
Well, I've done one.
Yeah, so
So I guess I would say definitely more. Like, you need to continue the practice of it. I really struggled with it. It was super difficult for me. And I think still very beneficial in a big way, but I think that I would need to do another one and just continue, because they recommend you continue practicing for 2 hours a day and meditating 2 hours a day after you leave, which is hard to commit to.
yeah,
Even-
when you're not
even if you don't do that
isolated
now.
doing 2 hours, I don't do 2 hours a
Exactly.
day.
And Carly was really sick at the start of the course. She had like a bad fever, so she's trying to meditate
So
with
it
this
started
fever.
off, it just started off on a bad foot
Yeah.
my first 3 days of this 10-day silent course. And actually, I found the most difficult part, not necessarily the meditation itself. I looked forward to that because it was almost like something to do. But it was the fact that when you're not meditating for the 10 hours a day, like the rest of the day when you're not sleeping, you do not, like, you can't look at anyone, you don't interact with anyone, you just sit there.
And basically keep meditating.
And basically keep meditating, or just wait for the next meditation. Like, there's nothing to distract yourself with.
Yeah.
So that's
which is cool, because that's what we usually do. We distract ourselves with our phone, with food, with TV. So all those times that you would have distracted yourself, you're just stuck trying to like surf this wave.
Did you?
So you're gonna love it.
I think
it's gonna be epic.
No,
it's a big challenge.
I'm really looking forward to the challenge.
Absolutely.
I mean, I'm a little bit nervous, obviously, but I'm curious to know if, for either of you, the thing that keeps coming up, like obviously you're going to be faced with something. You could call it like an inner demon, or you could call it the main thing of resistance, maybe that's in your heart or your soul. Did you notice if it was the same thing coming up all the time that you had to deal with, or were you noticing different things?
I would say for me, they're all kind of grouped into just not accepting the present moment. Like during the meditation, you either want to move or you don't want to be there anymore. You start like counting down to when it's done, or you start daydreaming about something that you can't wait to happen in a week. And like you just basically, it's your brain trying to do anything but just be there in the present moment.
Yeah.
Why this technique apparently works so well, and why it's helped so many people for such a long time, is because apparently this is the technique that the Buddha discovered to liberate yourself from suffering. And he learned that, this is how the story goes, he learned that your reactions and the root cause of your suffering happens when you react to a sensation. So not when you react to a thought, not when you react to emotion, but actually the physical sensations of your body, tingling, pressure, itching, pain,
that tightness in your chest,
physical sensations. Like that's the key to work with, the physical sensations. And then the physical sensation of an itch might turn into a thought about the itch, which might then turn into a reaction that becomes a physical reality. So basically you go to the root cause of it, you observe the physical sense, and that's just something that he learned. It's not like, oh, that makes sense. It doesn't really make sense when you think about it. It's just something that, a scientist discovered that that's the way, and you can find out yourself if you decide to practice with the sensation and see what kind of benefit you get.
I think that's interesting because I didn't quite know that. And I have a lot of physical sensations that I react to all day long, that I notice. I'm so acutely hypersensitive to everything that I notice like right now I could explain probably 15 different things physically going on with me right now.
Wow, you're already really observant of that. That's cool.
But what I find interesting about the way you just described what this technique is, which I didn't realize, is that it starts from physical and works backwards, where I actually come from maybe more of a modality that it's not like I was taught this, I just sort of have this belief that a lot of the physical sensations have to do with emotional things, that it's actually the opposite. That
seems to make sense.
Right?
I agree.
The reason I've attributed the fact that my right side of my body hurts from a lot of like certain like anger issues and repressed emotional things and having to do with male energy, which is the right side of the body. So this is where I'm coming from. I'm thinking it's inward emotions and mental things affecting me physically, but maybe this whole practice will be liberating.
It could be a little bit deeper than what you're already working with.
It could just be maybe I'm not focusing on letting go of the physical sensation, and regardless of what it might be from.
That's the whole idea.
I've never actually thought about that. Like to me, even right now, you telling me that is like whoa. And so maybe
that's totally it.
This is gonna be huge for you either way, and also just for the sake of the challenge of doing it. Like it's such a. It doesn't seem like much. Just do nothing for 10 days. But it is...
No, that sounds like a terrifying proposition.
Terrifying. It is. And you're going to do it, and it's going to be like... That alone is something really huge to be able to accomplish, I think.
Yeah. You go in there to work, like you don't think, I'm on a retreat, let's chill. It's like, all right, this is full on.
Yeah, it's just a different type of work. And that's the thing is like,
that's right.
I feel like I put some time into that work on a daily basis, like meditating for a little bit every day, but it's not enough. It's not, compared to how much hours I put into this, like this job and this and everything, it's like, it's way off balance, right?
Yeah, I feel exactly the same.
I've never not worked ever in a day when you really think about it.
Cool.
Like, I'll say, oh, I'm going on a vacation, but I'm still going to go on my phone and I'm still going to take Instagram stories, or I'm still going to take a vlog.
And you're taking everything that's in your head there with you. You're not going, sometimes you do a vacation and you're like, okay, now I really need a vacation.
Well, it's like I'm going on vacation, but then I'm going to eat at vegan restaurants, so I'm like critiquing food and I'm like tasting, and it's like, really that is work. Like really that is creative work for like what I do.
Yeah.
So
no, it's going to be really
that's
interesting.
what I'm most...
You don't have to do anything. You're not going to do your dishes. You're not even going to thank people for the food they serve you.
Yeah.
You're not going to do anything.
Eye contact with anyone. Like you are alone.
And
it's beautiful. It's
you
really
can't
beautiful.
wear like don't wear tight clothing or like bright colors, or like you're just going like sort of like in very
Pretty cash.
unassuming.
You're doing this
Exactly.
solo thing, but with other people.
Yeah, and it's so cool when you haven't spoken 10 days in on the 10th day, when you start speaking, everyone's just like, whoa, how about day 5? Wasn't that crazy when he said this thing? And, you know, at the time when I first went in there, I had bulimia. I had a really bad emotional eating problem. And I didn't know it was because of emotional eating. I had no idea what it was, but I learned after this technique that I was taught that I was just, you know, there were certain sensations that I would react to very strongly, and I could never feel full. And I would always try to eat I was trying to feel good through eating, when you should just be eating to satiate your hunger. That's what it's for, to fuel your body. I was eating it when I was sad, I was eating it when I was happy, I was eating it when I was wanting to procrastinate, and all these things. And it got me totally out of that. It got me completely out just by learning this technique. It's good for people who smoke cigarettes or have any other addiction. It's good for people who want to feel more compassionate and more loving and more happy and less stress and more, you know, all the good things come with meditation. It's already there in you, and the technique is just about getting the layers of gunk off your bright light that's already shining. We've just put all this stuff on top of it.
Oh yeah, I fully believe that, and I think getting into meditation, that's what I've realized, is that it is just this like peeling back all the time. But I think, and the reason I go to things and go to classes or workshops, it's just because I think it's like anything, right? Like to learn from other people.
Totally.
And I think I've never quite like ascribed to any one practice. Like there's TM and there's different things, right? But like for me, I like kind of exploring different things because I don't think I've found. Maybe I will find something that I do the same all the time, and maybe it is Vipassana, or maybe there's parts of Vipassana that work with what I'm already doing.
And sometimes you find a thing that you want to go hard on, and something you just want to keep it for a little bit. Like in Vipassana, they use an analogy that, you know, there's a person who wants water, and so he digs for water, and he's almost near the water, and then he's like, actually, I'm going to dig over there. And then they dig, and then they're nearly near the one, like, no, I'll dig over here. And they never get their thirst quenched because they're... So eventually, they would suggest, try that technique, try this type of meditation, try that type of healing practice or whatever, but ultimately choose one that you find is working for you so that you can dedicate instead of just like, you know, getting a little bit deep.
And I've heard that before, like when it came to therapy, and I actually did a form of therapy for quite a long time because it was that thing of like, I better stick with it until I see the breakthrough. And I completely agree with you. Like you don't really know how close you are. Yeah. You're there all the time, or you never know you are. So you can't just give up or like change your mind, or that it's still that monkey mind mentality. Even if you're like, even if you're dabbling with like 8 different types of meditation practice, you're still not. I think there is something to be said about like the focus on one or whatever, or the mastering of one.
And I think with Vipassana, you'll know if you're doing it right. Everyone I spoke to, if you're doing the technique, which is very simple, it's the hardest thing to do, but it's the simplest technique, then you will see the benefits. That is just what happens. You walk this path, and these are the benefits that you'll get, just like everybody else who's walked that same path and done this same technique. What I was going to say is that there has been a few times where, you know, we've been going through a tough time or whatever, and I'm like, oh, you should try the technique. She's like, stop talking about the technique.
I don't want to do the technique.
I'm like, oh, but now is a really good time to do it. And, you know, every now and then she'll concede and just do it.
And then I'm like,
she's like, oh, actually, whoa, I feel so much better.
And I even know it, like, at the moment where he's like, you should do the technique, you know, and don't be so reactive. Like, when I say I don't want to do it, like, there's a voice in my head being like, but you do. And it's like, you just get addicted to this, like, drama and wanting to still be angry and hold on to it. And it's like, it's not good. Just, it's not serving your best self.
Yeah.
Like...
But it's that split. It's there all the time. It's that other half of you that's trying to keep you small and trying to keep you protected, and then the other one that's like, no, let me go, and And it's, do you think though that you can ever really reconcile that 100%?
I think you can become more aware of what it is that's happening and just laugh at it rather than just believe it
not
to be
reacting
true.
to it,
Yeah,
not reacting to the sabotage, to the ego.
Okay, cool. Like you're there, but I know who you are and what you're doing. So
it becomes like it becomes like, instead of like the loudest voice in your head, you know, it becomes this like, oh, there's a radio across the road that I can just faintly sort of hear.
I mean, it is a lifelong journey. This
Totally.
whole thing. It's
no
not
one's
like
getting enlightened after one 10-day course.
Exactly. No, and I do not have that expectation at all. Thank you for sharing that.
Any step forward is so beneficial, though.
Oh yeah,
exactly. Any step forward is worthwhile.
We have some good videos on our channel actually about your Vipassana
Yeah.
experience that I learned a lot from before I went on mine.
Cool. Yeah.
Thank you guys for eating with
Thank
me.
you for sharing your food with
Yeah,
us. We had so much
phenomenal.
fun.
They basically licked their plate, which is amazing.
Seriously.
You can eat mine, or I'm gonna give you some leftovers
cool.
to go.
Yeah.
And
I'll
also
have
that sour cream. You said you have your recipe in the book.
Yeah,
That was
yeah.
an
If
amazing
you can
sour
take what's left too,
cream.
I'll give you the container.
I would love that.
Yeah.
Let's
That would
totally
be
do
great.
that.
All for you.
Yeah.
Okay, so go follow their YouTube channel, James and Carly. I've linked it below. Follow them on Instagram. What is your Instagram?
Mine is Carly Taylor 269.
And what is yours?
James Aspey.
Of course.
Aspey.
And more from you guys to come. More speeches,
we're always
more.
putting
on
it out there.
Instagram,
Yeah. When we're settled a bit more soon, which will be hopefully soon,
Yeah.
we're gonna do a whole bunch more YouTube stuff.
Yeah.
So we're looking forward
Yeah,
to
and
that.
more cooking stuff and what I
Yeah,
eat in a
just
day.
chill
Just
stuff.
like sharing just our life because right now so much of our life is packing and unpacking and
Slaughterhouses
Ubers to the
and
airport.
speeches.
Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
it just but the travel itself has been
Totally.
so a big chunk of our life that is so
course.
unproductive in a way. So it'd be nice to,
Yeah,
to
we're
be
gonna
more
get more
settled
sorted.
soon.
It's hard to do YouTube content on the road traveling. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
unreliable Wi-Fi, airports, like it just you're not
Exactly.
focused on doing that.
Yeah, and we're excited to put out some.
Yeah, but it's been
We've
so
been had it
awesome getting
busier.
to connect with so many people around the world and
Yeah.
getting to be a part of so many activism communities that are doing so many incredible things. So we've got to really see a lot of good in the world.
Well, keep doing what you do. Thank
You
you
too,
guys.
you
Yes,
too. You are
were
awesome.
you're
Amazing.
both awesome. Thank you for coming to my
Nice to
house
meet
and
you.
into my
pleasure.
kitchen.
Thanks a lot.
That was Watch Me Eat. Happy New Year. It's going to be 2019 next time I see you. So subscribe and watch and follow along on Instagram. And I'll follow up with my whole Vipassana experience on here when I get
cool.
back.
Can't wait to
wait
hear
to-
about
yeah.
it. That'll be
And yes,
sick.
I am taking January off in case you missed that. I won't be posting content for January. Okay, bye.
Watch reruns. See ya.